This is the language that Trump used. Jesus, fire and fury didn't get you. Why are you freaking out now? This it just amazes me. Again, it goes back to what I'm saying. Donald Trump, he's going to flock to social media faster than he's going to go to any cable channel. I mean, he's got tens of millions of followers at POTUS, on Twitter, and Facebook. I mean, it angers a lot of people that he does this, but it's so much more effective, and Trump uses it. This is, I mean, is it saying anything that's not true? I mean, billions of U.S. dollars in getting nothing. I mean, give me a break, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, this guy is telling the truth. And for whatever reason, you get people that are just all upset when he calls him Little Rocket Man, because what does the guy do? He's the guy wants to put a nuke up there, an EMP up there, and he wants to be the superpower. And that should not, and if history, if we're on the right side of history, we'll not let this happen. I have no idea why there's so many people out there that are so upset thinking that Donald Trump is the one that's going to be starting World War III. If anybody starts World War III, it's going to be Kim Jong Un. From his reckless behavior and for his relentless pursuit for weapons of mass destruction. Is he the kind of guy, by the way, that you want to be trusted with these things? Does he run a humane government? Does Iran run a humane government? He's kind as people. You know, they're good to their citizens. They don't beat them. They don't jail them. They don't behead you at all these particular things. They don't rape people, use people, slave. This is what all these people do. You don't fit their narrative, they kill you. Want to talk about slavery? My goodness, the North Koreans go over to China and get paid 70% of their salaries or more go back to Un. So I don't know how many of those slaves are still over there in China. Maybe by mule or something like that, they bring the money back over. I'm not offended by this president. What he says and speaks the truth. People are saying, does the tweets, do they work? Trump tweets only one thing will work on North Korea. That's the big mystery. Nobody knows what that means. You know, our president criticizes and has used this language before. And the president has repeatedly criticized the U.S. diplomat strategy as it pertains to North Korea, continually saying that his talking is not the answer. He seemingly rebuked, according to news outlets, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson a week ago, saying that he was wasting his time trying to negotiate with Little Rocket Man. Save your energy, Rex. We'll do what needs to be done, Trump tweeted last weekend. Folks, we're marching to war. I don't want it. But there's just doesn't seem to be any letting up, and there's intelligence showing that this guy's getting ready for a larger launch, a further launch. And folks, I hate to say it, unless this guy is shut down, it's going to be one of these launches that's going to take out a lot of people. That's what worries me. That's what concerns people at the Pentagon. That's what keeps people up at night to think about these things, that know that this is an eventuality. This is what he has to prove to the world, that he's able to do this. And if he reaches that, then he feels like he'll have the nothing but respect because he's got the technology. And then we're going to have to pretty much just kowtow. And whatever he wants to do there in the peninsula, we'll all have to abide. That kind of sounds like what did Obama do? He negotiated with terrorists, with Iran. Wasn't that cute? Folks, we've been doing this and negotiating with terrorists longer than that by giving terrorists money, i.e., Kim Jong Un, who terrorizes his own people and American citizens, killed an American citizen. The untold terrors that Warm Bear had to go through over there, God only knows what he actually had to endure in those gulags. Could you imagine? I just don't want to, just to see the condition that he came back in. This is what we're dealing with. That's the evil that exists on our planet. There's evil out there that lurks. The light sometimes has to shine. And sometimes war is necessary. Now, what type of warfare that entails, I don't know. I certainly am not privy to that information, but when they say all options are on the table, I would have to believe just what they say, that all options. But diplomatically, it does not seem like that's a reality right now, unless we hear from the Korean news agency that Un wants to meet with the president and with world leaders who wants to get to the UN, and he wants to give up his ambition. It doesn't seem very likely. And for those that have studied this regime, this seems to be his quest, Kim Jong Un, that is. He, by the way, elevated his sister to some higher status in government since his brother and uncle are not around. So I guess in case something bad happens to him, at least his sister's there. Well, that's nice of him. And by the way, if you're his sister, you better do what he says. She knows clearly, all too well, that if she doesn't tout the line, and who knows, she might love everything there is about the whole regime and how they operate. But if she did have a differing thought or opinion, she certainly is not going to make it known to him. But, it's just hard to believe presidents and their administrations have been talking to North Korea for 25 years. Agreements have been made, massive amounts of money has been paid, and nothing has come to that's helped us or anybody. As a matter of fact, it's just further emboldened this guy, and he's given him the technology and the means to be able to be a menace. But not just there, which there's tons of people that live in South Korea, in Japan, in case you didn't realize. The problem is that it's a menace to the world. I mean, he can reach North America. He can get to outer space. He launched further out into outer space above the International Space Station. I mean, if you get trajectory just right, you come back down with an ICBM, you can go wherever the world spins and it goes down. And then whatever it's on it, you can come over to North America and emit an EMP. He's talked about doing that. Some of you were without electricity with the recent hurricane. You might know somebody without it. Could you imagine sitting in the dark? You know, bad things happen when there's no electricity. I mean, all of these things and more. Chemical, biological, magnetic pulse. All of these particulars. You've heard people talk about it for years. We've talked about it at length for many broadcasts. But if there's anybody out there that ever asks you the question as to why are we even concerned about North Korea and what they do, well, now you can let them know. It's for these reasons and so much more. We just can't have it. That's why we know we have a bad deal. We got a bad deal from Iran. I think these people are going to cooperate. You think these people are not going to pursue? They're watching what we do there. And they must know that if we do react and do something, that they'll be next if they start doing stuff that the Rocket Man's doing. Some very sad news that I learned of. A radio talk show host, and she's a DJ as well, but more of a host. She does a great music program. Her name's Delilah. Some people really love her show, but she's a Christian, and she took to Facebook talking about her teenage son who killed himself. It's a heartbreaking Facebook update. But, yeah, she's a Christian radio talk show host, by the way. It was this past Saturday, revealing their teenage son, Zachary, that's his name, committed suicide last week. So we're just learning about it. He finally had the courage to go, and can you imagine not wanting to do anything after hearing that sad news? But on her Facebook page, she says, "Dear friends, I need to share some devastating news with you. In the early morning hours of Tuesday, October 3rd, my son Zachary took his life." And then she revealed that he had been treated, counseled, and embraced fiercely by family and friends while battling depressions for some time. She says, "My heart is broken beyond repair, and I cannot fathom how to go on." She continued, "But I have to believe he is at a peace. He's at a peace with the Lord, and that God will get us through." And then Delilah, she noted that she would be taking a leave of absence from both radio and social media to grieve the loss with her family. And in the meantime, we'll be praying that our family can get through this. And she says, "I will be playing some of my favorite shows from the recent past. I'll look forward to my return as you all lift me up so very much." She concluded, she says, "Please pray for my beloved Zachary, and I will pray for all suffering from this debilitating disease called depression." That is hard. That is hard. Can you imagine your son? Depression is very real. You might have it. You might know somebody that suffers from it, but it is a reality, and it is debilitating. And unfortunately, I've known people in my life that have, through church or just through acquaintances or friends that have taken their life because of depression. And it affects more people than you know, and it's very real. And unfortunately, sometimes you never know when somebody will do it. But so young, and her stepping off the air for a little while and grieving, I think, is the right thing to do. So we definitely say a prayer to Delilah for her and her family, and for her beloved Zachary, her son. God bless her family in this troublesome time. Not a easy thing to deal with if you have a loved one or a spouse, somebody that has depression, but it is hard to explain sometimes when you have it to somebody else that might be the polar opposite. It might be very upbeat and not Eeyore. Sometimes medication can help, but side effects sometimes are many, and so some people just avoid it. But Robin Williams, as you know, took his life, and he suffered bad depression. Jim Carrey. I mean, the list goes on, and these people seemingly have everything. But it had nothing to do with the things. It's how they felt. It's how they felt emotions, and he had a very loving family. He had plenty of people that loved God around him, but it's I don't know if it's more mental, more chemical, some spiritual. To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't have the answers, but according to clinicians, it's a real thing, and unfortunately, it takes way too many lives. And it would be nice to have some kind of cure for that, because that is just devastating. Any parent to get the news, learn that their son, 20 years old, took their life. I mean, God is a mother, let alone a father. I just could not imagine. I would definitely be doing best of broadcasts for a while Uh,